Hey there, how's it going? In my video about different types of game jams, I talked about a weekly game jam called the Trijam. Now, the Trijam at first doesn't seem like anything different. It has a time limit and a theme. But the big kicker with it is, the time limit is only 3 hours. I know this seems crazy short, but I've done this plenty of times before. I used to pretty regularly do 3-hour challenges on my live streams, just to stretch my design muscles. But those were all just for fun, and it didn't matter when some of those eventually turned out terrible. However, the main mission of the Trijam is to get designers to actually take the time and plan, and to use their resources and tools to their advantage. Speaking of resources, this video is sponsored by GameMaker Studio 2. Most of you know that I don't believe that one engine is better than another. They're all tools made to facilitate designers to create their work and their vision. I was upfront and open that I don't use the engine myself at the moment, and they knew that, but said that there's still probably a lot of people that haven't picked their favorite engine yet, and asked if I would like to share it with all of you, which was an enthusiastic yes. I've played so many great games made in GameMaker, and I know that you can make amazing stuff with it. Seriously, just look at this list of games made on the platform. Undertale, Hyperlight Drifter, Forager, Nuclear Throne, Downwell, and so many more. GameMaker is a fast and friendly cross-platform game development technology that's great for experts and beginners alike. And on top of that, it exports to pretty much every platform you could ever want. GameMaker has everything built in that you need to take your ideas from concept to finish. And even if you don't know how to write code, GameMaker has an extensive library of events and actions with their intuitive drag and drop system. Whenever I'm asked how to start making games, I always have the same answer. Find an engine, find some tutorials, follow along, and see if you like it. And right now, GameMaker has a free trial and a ton of free learning resources waiting for you, as well as a fantastic community of thousands of game devs in the GameMaker community forums, Discord, and Reddit. Click the link in the description below to start your free trial today and see if GameMaker's right for you. The Trijam is quite interesting because it's 3 hours, but that's just for your build time. Things like planning, prepping, organizing, exporting, and all other non-game related stuff don't count towards your time limit. And according to the organizer, Rock Knight Studios, even if you go over the 3 hours, it's okay, finish it. You made something and that's all that matters. Still submit and try again for the time later. That's a mentality that I can 100% get behind. So here's how it works. The jam is open from Friday to Monday. At the start of the jam, the theme is announced, and then you have a total of 3 hours to spend working on your game during that time. You can do all 3 hours in one sitting or 1 hour a day for 3 days. Basically, break it up however you want. And again, those 3 hours are for writing code, designing assets, testing, and bug fixing. Now, I've known about and wanted to do the Trijam for a good while now, but I just always had stuff going on over the weekend where I couldn't really make the time. This weekend, however, I slotted out some time, I was all set to go, so what is the theme that I get for my first ever Trijam? Exploring space-time. Seriously? I immediately regret picking this weekend. Last weekend was freaking coffee. I'm smart enough to understand coffee without having to look it up, but this weekend, no. Space-time, on the other hand, I could explain in references to comic book universes, and it turns out, yeah, it kinda works actually. Space-time is a combination of 3 spatial dimensions with an added 4th dimension of time. It's not something we can actually observe ourselves because we can only ever perceive our own time in our dimension. And that's as deep as I'm gonna go into it because otherwise I'm just gonna be wrong. So after a lot of pondering and a lot of Googling, I settled on a concept that I think should fit. At least I hope. Here's the idea. An interdimensional jewel thief has lost their diamond stash while jumping through time-space. We, as the player, have the ability to jump through different portals to go to the same location but in a different dimension. I don't know why, but I thought it would look really cool to have a bunch of the same scene on the screen just like a grid, with each one being slightly out of time with the other. Each dimension will have one threat inside of it that could hurt the player, and there will also be an external threat that comes from outside of space-time. It'll be a game all about getting a high score, and that's pretty much it. I mean, we do only have 3 hours. I did some prep, like picking a color palette. This time I'm going with the Endesga 8 palette made by, you guessed it, Endesga. I set up my project and made a rough mock-up of what I was kind of thinking, just to make sure it wasn't going to look absolutely terrible. Then it was time to go. I ran the timer while I worked, but I did stop it when I walked away or if I just needed to think. Again, the Trijam gives you 3 hours of working time, so I ran the timer when I was actively making changes and working on the project. First things first, I start getting the 6 mini levels put together, as this is kind of core and the part that's supposed to stand out the most. That's also why I picked such a strong color palette, since I wanted it to be clear where you're going based on the color. I will say this early on that if you have color blindness issues that doesn't agree with the game, I'm really sorry. I normally try to be very conscious and not just use color as an indicator for things, but with the limited time, I laxed that a bit for this idea because I just wanted to try it out. Setting all this up took a bit longer than I would have liked. We're about 20 minutes in and I finally have the player moving and each of the 6 dimensions set up with the same layout of jump-through platforms. Because of how many scenes the player needs to look at and move through, I keep the platform layout extremely simple. There's going to be enough going on already on the screen, so the player shouldn't have to worry about making complex or tight jumps as well. Now it's time to set up the most important mechanic. If this isn't isn't fun, the whole thing is kinda bad and not gonna work. It's time to put in the portals. I set up two different kinds of portals, an A portal and a B portal. If you touch the B portals, which are around the outsides of the level, you're taken to the A portal, which resides in its own colors dimension. When distributing the portals, they're all the same, and I use this method for each. The dimensions are numbered 0 through 5. On the top left, the portal will lead to the previous number, and in the case of 0 here, it wraps around to 5. On the top right, the portal will go to the next number up. Then the bottom portals work the same way, except they go 2 places in either direction. So looking at it here, each color can go pretty much anywhere except for the color directly above or below itself. With the portals in, it's time to add in the diamond that will be the collectible. I start by trying to draw a diamond, fail, and then just leave it for future me to deal with. The shape is good enough for the moment. To encourage the player to move around to the different dimensions, the collectible needs to spawn in the different areas. Now, there's no shortage of ways to accomplish this. Because I'm fine with having fixed spawn locations in each room, I just made a diamond spawner sprite that won't be visible when the game is actually running, and placed them wherever I wanted the diamonds to be able to spawn. There are 9 locations per color, and I was able to easily copy and paste the same placement into each of the other areas. When the level loads, each one is given its own unique number. Then when it's time for a diamond to spawn, it picks one of those numbers at random and spawns the diamond there. It actually works really well. We're about an hour in and we've made some good headway. The player is able to use the portals to jump between dimensions to collect randomly spawning diamonds. I wanted to add obstacles to each of the dimensions that started in the same place but were offset slightly as the game went on. I came up with the simplest of hazards, which is just a spinning saw that travels around the outside of the dimension. Again, I don't want to make any individual area too difficult because there are 5 more that the player needs to think about. At this point, the whole thing is looking kinda like a kindergarten arts and crafts with a lot of big shapes and colors. So it's time to fix some of this art and make it look a little bit better. I redesigned the portals and saws and made some actual art for the player. I don't have a lot of time to think about the design of the player, so I went with a little blobby person for no other reason than it was quick to make and it's still kinda cute. To help guide the player's eyes, I made a small particle burst that happens when you touch a portal, and then a larger burst that appears in the dimension where you show up. The idea is you associate the small particles moving to the new location, so it's easier for your eyes to track. Now the time is flying, almost 2 hours down, and the backgrounds are feeling awfully bright and kinda plain. I spruced them up with a vignette and an abstract city-looking background thingy that I made. With them all having the same overlays, this was meant to further hammer home that these are all the same place, but just slightly different in different dimensions. I try and fail on the diamond again before moving on, but I did give it a cute little particle effect because you can never have enough particles. With less than an hour left, I really need to get a move on. I had originally planned to have small enemies target you and fly in from off-screen to try and hit you, but that just didn't feel right. Also, setting up the system to signal the player that it was coming in just wasn't looking so hot with the time I had. So I opted instead for an Indiana Jones style giant boulder that's the size of the dimension itself. I set it up so it can spawn in one of 9 locations, which will then send it careening across any dimensions that are in its way. I added a warning signal that will go off 2 seconds before the boulder spawns because it's very important to signal to the player when something's coming in that could kill them. But at this point, the player can't actually die, so let's get that in and working. The player has 3 health, and if they contact the saws, they lose 1. When they hit 0, they will of course die. The boulder, however, is an absolute beast and will reduce you to 0 if it hits you at all, so make sure to stay away. Less than 40 minutes left and it's scramble time. The player has no animation, so I quickly slapped those together. It's nothing fancy, it's got an idle, run, and a jump. I dropped in a load of sound effects that I had picked out during my prep time, and I began the process of linking them up to their actions and testing them. As always, this takes a while, and with 25 minutes left, I have basically the whole game loop plus sounds. I'm actually feeling pretty good about where it's at. Now it's time to add some polish to take the overall feel of the game up a bit. I added my standard squash and stretch to the player so it's nice and squishy when it jumps, as well as some dust particles that kick up when the player runs and jumps. I really wanted to spice up the portals a bit more, but I didn't really have the time or any good ideas, so I threw a screen filter on it, which I don't really love, and I think in the end probably hurts the game a little bit. I then added the music as well. All music and sound effects are from packs that I've purchased over the last couple of years, things like Humble Bundles and stuff like that. And then I almost forgot about Screen Shake, and you gotta get in Screen Shake because I'm pretty sure it's illegal to have an indie game without it. I will say that the Screen Shake really helped the impact of the boulders being launched into the scene. And it was finally time to deal with the last thing I've been putting off, which is the diamond, and I finally actually looked up a reference so I can make it not look so terrible. And after 3 hours of work on gameplay, this is Dimension Hop. I'm really pleased with it, and I find that I keep going back to play it. One thing I did forget to mention was the difficulty scale. As your score goes up, the time delay between the boulder shots gets reduced. Seriously, when you get up into the 30s and 40s, you really have to stay on your toes. Quick jumping through all the dimensions feels fun and just the right amount of confusing, I think, for me. You also always come out of a portal fall in a safe location so you don't have to worry about being hit the moment you land. Since the saws only travel around the outside, they're only going to hurt you if you're on the floor or too close to an edge. I've also set it so the boulder will not spawn until you pick up your first diamond. This will hopefully allow the player to experiment with the movement and just get a feel for maneuvering around the scene before there's imminent danger coming at you. So I used up my 3 hours on the gameplay. I then spent another hour just setting up the menu, making a logo, and getting the how to play section and credits all together. Again, according to the rules and the way I understood them, the 3 hours was just for the gameplay. By the time I finished all that, it was kinda late, so I went to bed, and then the next day I exported the game, set up the itch page, and submitted it to the jam. I gotta say, I really enjoyed this process. The goal of the jam is to get you to set a plan and execute on it, which is basically what I did. I do feel that I may have pushed it a little bit on the scope, but for the most part it wasn't too bad and there was nothing that I planned that wasn't doable. Far too often recently I've been figuring out the start of a concept and then just jumping in and starting to make stuff. But here, figuring out the whole game flow first and knowing the plan really made it all about building and tweaking during the time limit. If you ever have a spare couple of hours on the weekend, I would highly recommend giving the Trijam a go. They run one literally every weekend on itch.io, so give them a look. I'm not affiliated with them in any way, I just really love the jam concept. If you want to try the game, there's a link in the description where you can check it out. And be sure to send me the messages with the ridiculous high scores that you always get that I never thought were possible. Also, while you're in the description, don't forget to check out and start your free trial of Game Maker Studio 2, and see what amazing things you can create. Thank you all very much for watching. As always, I would like to thank my amazing Patreon supporters, especially Abishan, Clone13, Daniel Martin, David Scott, Nightfall, Kevin Halgau, Kormai, Liam Sorta, MLK, Matzi Makes, Nazar Salim, Salty Pretzel, Scott Hansen, Soapy Gnome, Straight Up Gruntled, and Warren Stephen Rose. You're all amazing people and I can't thank you enough for the support. If you would like to catch the game making process live, please stop by my Twitch stream at twitch.tv/Vimlark, or you can message me on Twitter or join the Discord with a lot of other really cool people. I hope you're healthy and safe wherever you are, and I will talk with you next time. Have a good one. Later.